And I have so many burning questions. There's one that I will never forgive myself if I don't make sure I get. I'm gonna read it to you exact because I follow your Facebook religiously. Like I say, I consider Susan. Anyone listening or watching, I consider Susan Kaye Quinn to be a guru. You should be taking notes during this. But you've got a thing that you posted on Facebook. You said in other news, I think, oh, nope, I'm reading the wrong one. That's terrible. You know, those shows where they remodel your kitchen or design a custom fish tank or in some way have experts come in and revamp everything. I could totally do a show like that only for indie publishing. With a budget of $2,000 in 3 months' time, I'd take someone's portfolio and make it sparkle and sell and launch them into a new phase of their business. How would you do that, and what would you charge to do it for me?
I won't charge anyone, including you, to do it. I have done it in the past, actually. I will take on little cases of people that need some help with, and it's always specific to whatever their situation is. I had a friend once whose, husband was in a terrible accident, and she had all these medical bills, and they were both, really cash strapped, and because of that, her book business was flailing. And I said, well, let me give you a hand here. Let me see what I can do to help out, and we can get that boosted up again and help you out a little bit. So, I'll do that kind of stuff every once in a while just to help a friend. And so I know that I could. I know that this is something that I can do. And it would be kind of fun to do, to be like, do it in a sort of entertainment kind of way, right? Where, here's the before and the after, and then like actually walk through the process of what would you do if you like had a author that say wrote a trilogy of fantasy novels and then a second trilogy of high fantasy novels or something like that. Slightly different, but not still in the same genre. I would do things like look at their covers, see if they're on genre for today, because genres or covers change. What the cover conventions are change. I would look at, descriptions and titles and pricing and, all that sort of marketing package stuff. And then I would look at the inside and say, okay, is this hitting the market, or is it, it looks like a fantasy book, but it's really science fiction, or it's really romance. You've miscategorized this book as to what it really is delivering for the reader. So let's look at that and see, could we just revamp the whole thing, call it something different, and, not republish it, but like do a relaunch and do some aggressive pricing, do some ads, buy a bunch of ads for it, stuff like that. So the $2,000 is like, boy, that's a lot of advertising that you can buy for $2,000, actually. I don't do like Facebook ads or AMS ads. I'm not into the per click ads at all, because you can like just flush money down the drain with those very quickly. But if you're not doing that kind of advertising, if you're buying things like newsletter ads or like BookBub ads, 2,000 actually goes a pretty long ways. And you can also spend that money on refreshing covers, get some inexpensive but quality looking covers. And usually people are making some fundamental mistakes that are easy to fix or easy to identify, at
What are
least.
the most common mistakes that you're seeing?
Bad covers, or bad descriptions that aren't compelling at all. Like, they're not really exciting. Like, you want something to just be like, oh my god, this is amazing, I have to read this book. If you don't have that response to your, if it's like, well, it does adequately describe what actually happens, no, that is not acceptable. All right, I'm not
There's no the
excited
reader we're
about
going to
that.
get to the end of the book and go back to the description. Oh, yeah, check, check, check. You
Check,
you
yes,
nailed
this
everything
was
on there.
accurate. Yep. No, no. So just having a sense of who their market is. A lot of people are like, well, I can't categorize my book. It's not a romance and it's not science fiction. It's some combination of every book is some combination of everything. Okay. Every book is. The question is, how are you going to market this book? And who are you going to appeal to try to lure in to reading the book? And are they going to be the kind of people who will be glad that they did? because, oh yes, I love this kind of book and this delivered just what I expected in terms of an experience, right? They want to be surprised by the actual story, but they don't want to be surprised by the experience. You don't want a romance reader is not excited to be surprised that their romance ends in tragedy. Okay? They're not going to be happy with you. The science fiction reader is not going to be excited that he actually got a horror novel, right? If there's science fiction horror, then that's fine. That's a subcategory, but like let people know that it's horror before you get into that. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, I don't like this. This is not what I expected. So you have to understand your audience to some extent, and that is something that I think a lot of, especially first-time authors, they want to write a book and they're excited that they did write a book, and that is very cool, but they don't really know anything about the business. And even when I say, well, okay, well, what category on Amazon, what specific category on Amazon are you hoping that this book will be the bestseller of? And they're like, well, romance. And I'm like, that is nowhere near specific enough. So you need to be have a very specific idea of where you want to chart. What readers do you think, even if I'm in the paranormal romance subcat of romance, there's still 5 different not listed categories. There's reverse harem, there's traditional pack stories, there's a bunch of different categories that are, the only way you know about those are by actually reading the list or looking at the list and reading just the descriptions on the top 100 books. That doesn't take that long, but by the time you get through 100 descriptions of romance books in a category, you will have some idea of what is going on, why those books are selling. There's some common threads there. So